Alright, so today I want to show you some of my bamboo combos, and specifically I want to show you exactly how to make some of these combos. I'll pull some of my snakes out and I'll kind of show you which two snakes you can breed together and what the results are when breeding those snakes together. And bamboo is a pretty awesome morph. This is actually a bamboo around my neck here. This is Bobby, my male bamboo. Pretty much he was my very first bamboo, a really awesome morph. It's actually in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, so if you actually cross this snake with something else in the blue-eyed leucistic, you get an all-white snake with blue eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of my snakes from my collection, show you some of the combos, and show you some of the base morphs, how we mix those base morphs together to get some of these awesome bamboo combos. Alright, so I'm going to start with this snake. This is actually Sparky. This is one of Bobby's babies. Someone actually bought this and I have it on hold. They just haven't paid the full payment, so I haven't been able to ship it out, but I can still use it for my videos. Really awesome snake. So if you actually take a bamboo like this and you cross it with something like this, this is Crusher. Crusher is a lesser ball python, and both of these are actually in the blue-eyed leucistic. So if you actually take a lesser and you cross it with a bamboo, you actually get this snake right here. Take a look at this one. This is actually a bamboo lesser. Has one copy of the bamboo gene, one copy of the lesser gene. And the interesting thing is this is actually an allelic combination. So if you took this and you bred it to something like a normal ball python, half the babies would come out bamboo, half the babies would come out lesser. It's pretty awesome. And the interesting thing about this is an all-white snake with blue eyes. You can kind of see if this guy's kind of freaking out. I think I kind of woke him up from his nap. He's kind of sleeping, but if you take a look at his eyes, if I can kind of show you his eyes, he definitely has bright blue eyes. Really cool. I love these blue-eyed leucistics. This guy's not really used to being handled that much. This guy's actually breeding this year. This is a male, and I bred it to 3 normals, so I'm hoping one or more of those normals will actually lay eggs, and if they do, then half the offspring will be exactly like Bobby and the other ones will be lessers. So it's a really powerful breeder in that you won't get any normals from a blue-eyed leucistic. Pretty much any blue-eyed leucistic you won't get any normals. It'll be half and half. There's several ways you can actually get blue-eyed leucistics. One of them, you can actually breed like a bamboo to a bamboo, and you could get a super bamboo, and in that case you'd actually get a whole clutch of all bamboos. You wouldn't get any normals at all. And the same thing with a lesser, you can get super lesser. But the kind of cool thing about this one is if you actually look at the very top of the snake, has a really light kind of a yellow stripe coming right down the top. This is a really awesome snake, and he's really big for only being, this guy is, he's almost, I'd say he's about 2 years old. And usually you don't feed the males that much. That's why he's really long and skinny. I really haven't been feeding him as much as you would normally feed like a female. Usually you feed the females a little more. Try to get a little more weight on the females so they can lay eggs. But for males, it doesn't really matter. This is a really good size for a breeder male. Alright, so this time I'm going to use some really big snakes. This is Bobby right here, just kind of give you an idea of the size comparison of Bobby compared to some of these other snakes. And if you actually take a bamboo like Bobby here and you breed it to, take a look at this, this is actually a pastel calico. And the calico, essentially what it does is it brings up a lot of the white. It's kind of interesting. You really can't see a lot of white in this one because it also has the pastel, which really brings in the color. This girl, I'd say she's going to lay eggs probably in a couple weeks. I don't really want to move her too much. That's why I'm being really careful with this girl. But I actually bred these two together one year, and I got a bamboo calico. So if you actually mix these together, you get a bunch of snakes, including this snake right here. This is the bamboo calico. So if you actually take the pastel calico and you breed it with a bamboo, this can be one of the possibilities. This has one copy of the bamboo gene, one copy of the calico gene. So if you actually bred those two snakes together, the pastel calico and the bamboo, essentially what you'd get is you would get bamboos, you would get calicos, you'd get pastels, you would get pastel calicos, pastel bamboos, pastel calico bamboos, and you would get normals. You get a whole mix of different snakes, and this is just one of the possibilities that came out of this combo. And I'm actually breeding this one. This is also a male, which is really awesome. And this one I'm breeding to several other females, including some lemon blasts, so I should get some really cool offspring. Hopefully, if those snakes will actually lay eggs here in about a month. Alright, so for this combo, I'm going to start with the very basic genes. This is a pastel ball python. Pastel usually has some pattern reduction. You see it doesn't really have the normal, typical alien heads. Sometimes it'll have some alien heads, but I'd say most of the time with the pastel, it reduces the alien heads, and it also gives you quite a bit of yellow. And in most cases, you can actually see that a pastel has green eyes, and sometimes it's really hard to tell if it's actually green eyes or not. I don't know if you can see that in the eyes of the snake, but this is a pastel, and if you actually take a pastel and you cross it to a pinstripe, this is a beautiful pinstripe. I love these pinstripes. These are probably my favorite genes right here is the pinstripe. A really bright gold snake, looks really awesome, and it's a co-dominant morph. Both of these are actually the pastel is co-dominant and the pinstripe is dominant. And if you breed them to another snake, half the babies come out either one or the other. So if you actually bred a pinstripe to something else, half the offspring would be pinstripe. And if you actually breed these two together, the pinstripe and the pastel, what you get is you get this snake right here. This is a pastel pinstripe, otherwise known as a lemon blast. Looks really awesome with the pastel and the pinstripe in there. So if you actually went one step further, take the pastel pinstripe and you actually cross that one with a bamboo. I have Sparky right here. So if you actually, obviously you can't breed them this small because these are juveniles. You definitely need mature adults that are like usually about 3 years old for the females to actually breed them. But if you actually took these two, bred them together, you would actually get this snake right here. This is actually a pastel pinstripe bamboo. Really awesome combo. And I've made a lot of combos between the bamboo and the pinstripe, and they seem like when they're really young, they start out almost like a really shiny metallic color. You can see this one's a little bit metallic, kind of looking like it's made out of metal or something like that, but when they're small, they look super, they don't even look real. They look so weird, like, you know, they have metal snakes kind of crawling around. This one is really awesome. This is actually a female that's 2 years old, and you can see she's pretty close to being to the point where I can actually breed her. She's maybe not quite big enough, but she's getting really close. I'm thinking maybe this fall, in like maybe 7 months, I might be able to breed this one. The problem is right now is she's kind of a picky eater. She's not eating really good, but you can tell she is looking really good. And this one, I'm thinking about maybe I could even breed something like, you know, if I actually bred my bamboo calico to this one, the problem is you'd actually be breeding a bamboo to a bamboo. And the problem is if you actually bred those two together, you could potentially get a super bamboo, which is an all-white snake. So for example, if I actually bred those two together, I could get a super bamboo that also has pinstripe, pastel, and calico in the mix. And you wouldn't really know it since the super bamboo is an all-white snake, and it would pretty much mask out all the other genes in the mix. So pretty much what I want to do, you know, I could actually go down that route, and if I actually got a white snake, probably what I'd want to do is I'd want to save it and then grow it up and then breed it out to something like a normal, and then I could definitely tell if it has some of these other genes in the mix. But usually once you hit the super bamboo or the blue-eyed leucistic, it really masks all the other genes, and it's kind of a hard sell because normally you sell them as the price of a blue-eyed leucistic, but as a breeder, you really need to prove them out to get the real value of the snake to know for sure if the genes are in the mix. All right, so it is time for the question of the day. And B. James asks, do you give your snakes any type of vitamins? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, I had the very same question when I first started in ball pythons. Do I need to feed any type of vitamin or mineral supplementation? And a lot of reptiles actually need that. And as a matter of fact, if you look at all the different reptiles in the hobby, a lot of reptiles have really specific requirements when it comes to vitamins and minerals. And luckily for ball pythons, you really don't need to feed any type of supplementation, although there are some exceptions. So I've actually heard if you're feeding a diet that is primarily birds instead of rodents, they really don't have enough calcium and you should supplement with calcium. I'd say it's not really common for ball pythons. Usually we just feed rats and mice as the primary diet. But if you're looking at really big snakes like reticulated pythons, a lot of times people will feed them a diet that consists of birds because a lot of times that is what they eat in the wild. And then another thing I thought was kind of interesting, I actually saw a video, I think it came out like 10 years ago on ball pythons, and someone actually fed two different snakes. One was a vitamin supplement and the other one was a non-vitamin supplement. And believe it or not, with the vitamins, it seemed like the snakes actually grew a little faster. Although I don't know how scientific the study was because it wasn't really, a scientific controlled study. Snakes will actually grow a lot faster if you feed them larger rodents. So it could have been skewed if you're actually feeding larger rodents to one snake versus another. You have the same exact feeding schedule. It's obvious one is going to grow quite a bit bigger with the bigger rodents or the more frequent meals. So I'd say really to do it properly, you'd have to actually supplement with vitamins and weigh the rodents and look at the growth rate of each side by side. I really haven't seen the study, but it looked like, according to what I saw in that video, it looked like vitamin supplementation can actually make your snake grow faster. Although I'd say most people don't feed vitamins. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.